Okay, so I've been thinking about intentions a lot. Last week when I was talking in class about the difference between following principles and following rules, and how, rules tend to narrow. We need rules at times, but rules tend to narrow our behavior and thinking and intentions, and principles tend to give us the possibility of many things. And I think the same is true for intentions, that it's really important at the beginning of the day, or the beginning of before you make a phone call, or as you're starting your yoga practice, or having a task at work, that you pause to create intention around what you're doing. So intention can direct flow of energy and of the mind, as well as just energy in general. But like the difference between principles and rules, intentions can also bind us in ways that aren't so good. So to make sure that when you set intentions, that you allow intentions to flow, to kind of keep intentions more on that principles level instead of rules. Like an intention that would be a rule would be like, I'm going to mow the lawn today. And so it's a willful act, and then maybe something happens and you can't mow the lawn today. So better, I think, to have intentions that can flow depending on what the universe is offering you in any given day. So a dear friend told me over the last couple of days to think about this in the realm of like setting the intention to bank a river. So, to create will around what it is that you're calling forth, but then to know that the river is going to take its own course and perhaps might overflow the banks, and to allow yourself to have enough vulnerability and adaptability to follow what the universe is giving. And it made me think about Ecclesiastes. You have all heard this before, but I'm going to read it. This is a great book that some of you know Steve. He gave this to me, The Way of Solomon by Rami Shapiro. And it's all treatises on the Ecclesiastes. This, the song. Even if you don't know the Bible verse, you know the song. Life is fleeting, the passing of moments upon moments. Embrace them as they come. Do not cling to them as they go. In this alone is their tranquility. Moments of birth, moments of death, moments of planting, moments of uprooting, moments of killing, moments of healing, moments of knocking down, moments of building up, moments of mourning, moments of dancing, moments of casting stones, moments of gathering stones, moments of embracing, moments of departing, moments of seeking and moments of forsaking, moments of keeping, moments of discarding, moments of tearing, moments of mending, moments of silence, moments of speech, moments of love and moments of hate, moments of war, moments of peace, moments and the passing of moments. And this is life. And because there is such flow, and we can't hold on to the intention of the life's moments staying, really having our intentions set to how do we be in the passing of moments? How do we be in the periods of peace and the periods of war? So close your eyes for a moment and think about intentions for yourself. And one that I say every morning, I was recalling this to a friend this morning. May I live this day compassionate of heart, clear in word, gracious in awareness, courageous in thought, generous in love. So it's just a simple intentional offering of what I mean, that offerings can be much more broad and principle-based than specific action-based. And in this way, our intentions can follow wherever the universe is guiding us. So close your eyes and set an intention for your day, for your practice, for a conversation you need to have, for a task at work, for whatever it is that you need an intention for today. And see if you can muster up something that is really based more fluidly than a solution or product or end result. Let your intentions be open-ended so that possibility is there. Melt in, let your eyes close now. Melt into the experience of your body, resting through your face. Relaxing all the ways that you hold strain or tension. Coming into the ease of your breath. Coming into the awareness of your limbs, your spine. Full breath in, full breath away. And as your body starts to become a little more aware and a little more open, can you feed your intention into your cells? Can you let it be an energy that passes through you? And let's go ahead and place the hands together at the heart. And with the heart, the hands, the mind, the acts of doing, thinking, feeling, can you seal your intention? All right, and then let's go ahead and open our eyes and come onto your back on your mat. Let me just fix one thing here. Just come to lie down, feeling that sense of groundedness. So even if it's been a while since you've been on your back, enjoy the spreading out of your body, kind of like when you spill water on the floor and it just spreads. See if you can let your body feel that way, that it can spread out. There's ease. Let gravity kind of be a blanket over you instead of a compression on you. Take a deep, full breath. That's before we move, just take stock. How are you? What is the state of your mind, the state of your body? Can you scan your body and just notice if there's any place that needs your love and your care? Breathe deeply and fully. And then as you're ready, stretch. Okay, so lift the arms over your head and lengthen. Stretch your right side, stretch your left side, and just find the rims of your body. Enjoy the invigoration of a stretch and what that feels like. How does it change your breathing to stretch deeply? What feels good in this? And then as you're ready, go ahead and bring your knees into your chest and rock around a little bit. And just sway, feel the ease across your sacrum. Let it be gentle. So you have just this gentle little massage across the back body. Feel the capacity to circle your knees now if you want. So hold on to your knees circling one direction. And then go ahead and circle the other direction. And then right knee into the chest, left leg long on the floor. And do the same with your ankles. Give them some circles. Just enjoy the simple feeling of opening up your feet, feeling the shins, the calves, the outer shins, have some warming range of motion. And go to the other side, left knee into the chest, roll out through your ankles, your feet on this side. Enjoy the slow pace of awakening the body, luxuriate a little bit. So instead of just kind of pushing right into deep effort, enjoy what it feels like to move a little slower. Knees both into the chest now, pull the knees apart, just get into what the natural range of motion is with your hips today. So I'm going to get into the hips a little bit today, so just notice what's here. How is your range of motion? Notice how the back responds to your hips. So as you bring your knees into your chest, can you feel the back round a little bit? And as you bring your knees away from your chest, can you feel how the pelvis responds? How the low back responds? All right, and then 2 legs straight up in the air. You can hold behind your knees or behind the hamstring somewhere. You can always grab your strap too. And we're just going to do some little flex points with our feet. So flex your toes still, but point the balls of your toes, and then point your toes, and then flex your toes, flex your feet, and just go back and forth like this. Just awakening the legs a little bit. And then as you're ready, let go. You can either have your arms overhead, or you can have your arms out or down. And just feel the length of the spine. So even though we're spreading out like water, now we have some integrity that needs to be here, some support through our core. So just feel what that feels like to engage your hip flexors, to still have the neutral curves of your spine, even through the flexion of your hips. And then we're just going to slowly lower our legs down. You can always bend your knees to do this. They don't have to stay straight on the way down. I'm going to hit a piece of furniture, so I have to straighten my legs. And then lower yourself down to the ground. Bend your knees, take your feet wide on the mat, and just start to sway, swing side to side. Just opening up the side bodies a little bit. See if you can find that space between the pelvis and the ribs. You know, there's a whole lot of muscles, your obliques, your transverse abdominis, your quadratus lumborum. There's a lot of muscles in this space that support you. Feel free to lift the opposite arm up. You can even roll onto your side a little bit as you awaken the side rims of the body in a new way. All right, and then let's stretch our legs and the arms wide on the floor. Take a deep breath, extend from your center out to your limbs. And then as you're ready, exhale, pick up your head, knees into your chest, feel the spine round. A few more times, inhale, open up the full body, stretch from navel to limbs. Exhale, draw in, bring the limbs back home to the core. One more time, feeling that fullness, stretching into the edges of your body, and then bring that fullness back into concentration in the center. Roll over onto your side and come up onto your hands and your knees. So as you find cat-cow, enjoy. So such a simple thing, such a beautiful thing to do with your spine. So really, you know, even when you're injured and don't have a lot of mobility in your body, cat-cow is just a wonderful place to begin trying to find your range of motion. So whatever it is that you have going on today, so find your range, whatever the range is. And after a few rounds of just flexing and extending, remember you have a head and a tail. Feel free to move any which way you want to move. So, you know, feel the connection of your shoulder blades and your ribs toward the spine and the movement of the spine. Feel how your head impacts your spine. Notice the pelvis. So just see what kind of movements you want to do through your hips, through your pelvis. Find anything that feels inviting, opening, awakening in the body. Are you breathing? And then settle back towards child's pose. If it's not a comfortable posture for you, take some props if you need it. Think back to your intention. Can you melt it into the breath? Can you let it flow through you instead of hardening into desire or a wanting of completion or sense of this must happen? Let your intention be free. Okay, settle your hips down, stretch the left arms over to the left, open the right rim of the body. Relax your forehead, feel the ease through the base of the skull. Deep breath in and away. Walk your hands over to the other side, lengthening through the left. Soften the base of the skull here. Find your breathing. All right, now let's go ahead and come back up onto all fours. Okay, take your right foot straight back behind you. You can always take fists on the floor if your wrists are a little cranky. You can also take blocks under forearms if your wrists are a little cranky. Stretch that right foot back, open your calf, lengthen the spine. Let's cross the foot over to the left, square up the hips and shoulders and turn and look out over your right foot on the left side of your mat. Open up through the space between ribs and pelvis, all through the outer hip. Breathe there. And then come back. Bring that knee down onto the ground. Change sides. Left foot stretching back. Open the calf. Heart is moving forward. Square everything up. Cross that foot over to the other side. Still squaring hips and shoulders to the floor. And turn and look out over your left foot. Find the space. Notice if you have a big difference between one side and the other. How are you feeling here? And then come back to center. Stretch back towards child's pose. Feel the compression in the hips if it's comfortable. Then inhale, come up onto the shins, arms to the sky. Exhale and fold. A little bit of warming vinyasa. Push your shins into the ground. Inhale up. Exhale. Coming down. One more time. If you want to lean back, if it feels comfortable for your upper back, do that. Exhale and release to come back down. Come back onto all fours. Let's find a twist. Right arm lifting to the sky. Exhale, sliding that shoulder down. Feeling the space between the shoulder blades. Open up what needs opening. Breathe deeply here. Relax your head. Melt your eyes toward the floor. Inhale, lift that arm to the sky. Place your hand down onto the ground. Second side, lift the arm up. Exhale, slide the arm down. Drop the shoulders away from the ears. Deep breath in and away. And then inhale, reach the arm up to the sky. Place the hand down onto the ground. Find dog pose. So once again, let this be warming. So what kind of movement do you want? Do you like to pedal your feet and bend one knee and bring the opposite heel down? Do you like to sway the hips where the knee bends and kind of curves inward so the opposite hip can lift? So let there be movement in your posture if you want there to be movement in the posture. Find your breath. And then once you're ready for stillness, bring yourself into stillness. Enjoy the stillness. Relax your eyes. Find a sense of steadiness. Can you let the skin on your face melt away from the bones a bit? Have that sense of deep, full breaths, relaxed brain. Hug the hands toward each other. Notice what muscles help out with this. Spin the eyes of the elbows toward each other and maybe up so that the triceps roll under. Feel that sense of drawing the femur bones way back. Experiment with trying to pull your feet away from the hands. Deep breaths. All right, and then walk your feet forward. Come into Uttanasana. Your knees can bend as much as you want. Bobble around the head. Wag your tail. Just find whatever kind of movement is working really well. Can you let the waterfall of your spine happen? So just like we spread our spine on the ground, can you now feel that your spine can spread toward the floor? So bend your knees, lift your sit bones, and cascade the spine downward. Inhale for a halfway lift. You can hold blocks or thighs or shins. Extend the heart. Exhale and melt back down. Rise up, push off your feet, lifting your arms to the sky. Maybe a little bit of a back bend if it feels good. Open the chest. Exhale and bring your forearms to touch, chin toward chest. Remember, if you struggle with dizziness on the way up, you can always squeeze your hands and tuck your chin. Inhale, reaching the arms to the sky. Exhale and release the hands down. Interlace your hands behind you, open across the chest, knees bend, arms come up. Feel the stretch across the front of your deltoids. Let the neck relax. And then release the arms. Grab onto your elbows and shimmy them a little bit closer to the floor so the spine gets long again. Bobble your head if it feels good. Inhale for a halfway lift. Exhale and melt back down. Step your left foot back, right foot comes forward. Blocks are nice if you want them, if you have them. See what it feels like to have that sense of movement as you start to bend and straighten your leg. Okay. So bending your knee, opening up, squaring the hips. Let your spine be a part of this process. You can tuck your chin toward your chest if that helps when your legs become straight. Keep your breath moving through you. How does it feel to be in your body? Keep the knee bent. Let's go ahead and put your back knee onto the floor. Inhale, lift both arms up to the sky. Lean back a little bit, only if you are able to support yourself through this. Let's find a little twist. Bring your elbow to the outer knee, palm across your shoulder. Find the breath. Lift up through your spine. And then release and melt that down to the ground. Hand on the floor or blocks on the inside edge of your knee. Now you can go ahead and lift your back knee up off the ground if you want, or you can keep it on the floor. You decide what's best for your hips. Shoulders away from the ears, just find some opening. And let's let the knee fall out and come in. So often I don't really like it when you let the knee fall out because it collapses through your pelvis a little bit, but just find a little bit of range of motion in there. Are you breathing? And place the foot back down. If your knee is on the ground, lift it up, extend the spine, and then when you're ready, bring your back foot to the outside edge. Come up to a wide-legged forward fold, lift and widen the sit bones, and then when you're ready, come down to a squat. We're going to move in this way a little bit. Inhale or exhale, I don't care. Straighten your legs, and then bend your knees. Just moving through a little bit of range of motion. And then we're going to hang out in squat. So bend your knees, elbows inside. You can take your feet into any position that works for you. The heart gets broader. See what kind of work can be had. Spread open the bones of the feet. Feel the bones press. Lift the arches up. Can you have that yield push? Deep, full breathing here. And then place the hands down onto the ground. Lift the hips high, heel toe your feet in. Let's step our right foot back, left foot forward. Come onto the blocks with your hands if you want to, if you have blocks. And let's start moving here, bending and straightening. Enjoy the stretch, see what it feels like, what's feeling really good in your body. Where is your range of motion? Are you touching the edge of your range of motion and not letting yourself push past? So try to color fully inside the lines, but not beyond. All right, then we're going to come into a lunge. Place the back knee onto the ground. Open the heart. Find your breath. Inhale, both arms come to the sky. It's very easy when our knees on the floor to collapse. So see what you can do to hug front to heel and back knee toward each other to get the upward rise through your body. And then as you're ready, let's go ahead and find a twist. So maybe the twist to your elbow on your knee is too far and you need to just put your forearm on your knee. So find what you find. This other hand can push onto the thigh to help you lift the spine and support the twist. Find your breath. Find the hugging of the inner thighs toward the midline. Still finding the knee, the back knee and the front heel moving toward each other. Use all this strength and support to help you elongate the spine. How is your breath? Let's go ahead and come out of there. Bring your hands on the inside edge of this foot. Back knee can be on the floor or lift it up, whichever is feeling good to you. And then feel free to move a little bit, to let the knee fall out, to bring the knee back in. And just notice, where's my range of motion of my hip joint on this side compared to my other? How is bringing my knee out impacting? Are you dropping the opposite hip down? See if you can keep that femur bone of the back leg lifting away from the floor. And if your knee's down, pick it up. Find the stretch through your spine. Deep breaths here. And this time we're going to step our front foot back, come into a plank. Okay, so steady yourself, shoulders away from the ears,
hug toward the midline with your hands, hug toward the midline with your obliques, hug toward the midline with your inner thighs. Find your breath. And let's go ahead and put your knees down. Lift the heads of the arm bones strongly away from the floor like magnets repelling on the way down. Inhale, cobra pose. Lengthen the spine. Exhale to come back down. Take your hands, fingertips on the floor like spiders. Take a deep breath in. Lift up, lengthen through the heart. How's your low back? Are you supporting? Exhale and come down. We're going to turn our head while we do this. So inhale, turn to the right. Take a deep breath. Exhale and melt back down. Last time coming up. Shoulder blades down, turn head left. Stretch your legs. Exhale, coming back down. Come up on all fours. Have a pit stop here to nourish the spine. Take any kind of movement that feels really good in your body so you can swirl around or cat-cow or sway. And then find your way to dog pose again. Deep breaths in and out. Lengthen the femur bones up toward the hips and back. And then walk your feet forward. Come into Uttanasana. Relax your head. Touch your toes. Chair pose with your arms back. So just find a little quad warming. Reach your arms, lower your torso down. Reach your triceps higher than your spine. Flex your triceps. Extend your crown and tail. Put your weight in your heels. Lift your toes. Find an imaginary midline to hug into. And then as you're ready, inhale. Maybe the arms come up. Maybe your hands come to your heart. So find the place where you're best suited for chair pose. Nice neutral curve. Femur bones back into the hips. Find your breath. Then we're going to come up onto your tippy toes. Stretch the spine. We're going to move through those three variations with breath. Exhale, heels down, bend your knees, arms back. Inhale, up to chair pose, all the way to your tippy toes. Exhale, heels back, down. Inhale, through chair, up into your toes. One more time. Find your breath. Pause here at the top. Hang out on your tippy toes. Notice your balance, your breath. And then place your heels down onto the ground. Lift the heart. Separate your feet. Inhale, rise up. Exhale and melt and fold. Halfway lift. Sit bones lift, legs are straight. Exhale and melt back down. Step back to dog pose. Find your breathing here. Melt the skin on your face. Feel the roots of the index fingers and thumbs. Lift the right leg up in the air. Let's stack the hip one over the other if it feels good. Don't do this if it bothers your sacrum. Feel extension from your navel to your knee. Deep breaths. And then square that up. You can choose to come forward anyway, but we're going to have just a little core work. Deep breath. Exhale, knee to nose. Inhale, bring it back. Now we get to plant your foot forward. Okay. Come into crescent lunge. Reach your arms to the sky. Open yourself up. And then turn and open up to the side. So when you come into, we're going to flow here in Virabhadrasana 2. So find your stance. Your arms can come out and in or up and out, whatever feels good. Take a deep breath in as you exhale. Virabhadrasana. Move here. Let your hips warm up into that range of motion. Exhale on the way down. Inhale on the way up. One more time, and now we'll stay. See what you can do to work with the muscles of your pelvis. Spin this leg internally and take the thigh bone back. Work a lot with the outer hip muscles of that front leg. So spin the foot, heel, right heel, turning right. No, the opposite. Let your toes turn right and your heel turn left. Sometimes my left and rights get confused. Drop the shoulders down. Find the work, find the stability. So here's a place where your intention can harden. So see what you can do to not harden the intention, but come into the fluidity of your breath. Find stability and fluidity. Yielding can help you with the fluidity. Breath. Release the arms down. Go a little deeper and then push off. Come a little deeper and then push off. Come into Parsva Konasana, elbow on your knee. Before you move your arm, adjust your legs. Make sure you're in the place where your legs are most happy. Shoulders are away from the ears. Slide this arm up in the air. Turn the torso. Can you yield even weight through both your feet? How's the back leg? Is it feeling light on the floor? Can you feel roots without hyperextending your knee? Deep work in the hips. Breathe in, fluidly breathe out, long exhales. Shoulders away from the ears. All right, and then come back up. Turn your feet. Find just a little bit of a wide squat. So unlike the squat we just did a little bit ago, we're gonna have our feet wide, like goddess pose wide, and drop your torso down, drop your sit bones down, and then widen your sit bones back. Spread open the bones of your feet. Let your inner thighs open a little bit. And then come back up. I promise we'll do those poses on the other side. But first, we're just going to push and yield. So push into the foot and then back up. Go the other side. So the feet are slightly turned out, but you go where your range of motion is. So if your knee is a little wobbly, sometimes you just want to have a little bend like this instead of going deep into a bend. So you find what's right for the angles of your knees to go back and forth. Find your breath. You can do whatever you want with your arms. All right, and then steady, wide-legged stance. Once again, anything you want with your arms. Spin the jar lids of your feet, heels pull in, moving forward, toes turn back toward the wall behind you. Nothing's moving, but that's the energy of the feet on the floor. Find your breath. Deep work in the hips, feel a little shaky, that's okay. And then go ahead and stand up straight. Heel toe your feet straight so that you can come forward and rest here. We're gonna find similar, but a little bit more gentle. Come into the foot, stretch the inner thigh of this leg. So if you can't go into deep knee flexion, just go where you go. Deep breath in, deep breath away, come to the other side, let the inner thigh open, stretch your heart forward. And then come back up, heel toe, your feet come back to dog pose. Feel the extension through your spine, feel a strong internal rotation of the thigh bones so that your inner thighs are rolling back. Deep breath in and away. All right, let's go ahead and pull your feet away from your hands to activate a little bit of the lower fibers of your glutes. And then come forward, come into a plank. Steady on. Feel your obliques. Feel everything hug toward the middle. Deep inhale, strong exhale. You can always put your knees on the floor. And then when you come down, resist the heads of the arm bones. So instead of collapsing, have them come last. Everything else comes first. Go ahead and find. So maybe you like up dog and you'd rather just be on your hands and feet. Maybe you like cobra pose. Maybe you like Superman pose. Find what's working for you. And then exhale. Come on to all fours. Feel some rhythm through your spine. Swirl things around, move into your neck, move into your hips, and then come back to child's pose. Take a deep breath. Flow the intention through the breath, through the body. How does greater embodiment support your intention? Let's go ahead and come to dog pose when you're ready. The spine gets longer. Pedal out your feet if it feels good. Inner thighs back. Take a deep breath. Lift your leg up in the air. Okay, square hips to begin. And then when you're ready, stack. See if you can prevent yourself from collapsing the right side. Lift under the armpit. Stretch navel to knee. Your knee can be bent or straight, whatever feels best. Deep breaths. And then square the hips. If you don't want to do the core work here, you can just find your way forward to a lunge. Inhale, stretch that leg. Exhale, knee to nose. Inhale, bring it back. Exhale, bring your foot forward. Come into a lunge. Find your balance. Come up when you're ready. Reaching the arms to the sky. Finding the breath. Take your time. Discover your breathing body. And then when you're ready, we can turn and open up to the side. So same thing as we did before. We're going to flow to let your hip joint kind of find its way. Find your breath either with your arms in or up. Take a deep breath. Exhale. Find Virabhadrasana. Keep moving. Now remember, if you have a knee that's wonky and doesn't stabilize well, you can always come into these externally rotated standing poses with something supporting, with a block against a piece of furniture or a wall to help you stay steady. So know that there's always options to help you with these deep lunges. Okay, when you're ready, let's stay. Virabhadrasana 2. Arms are out, or maybe your arms need to be somewhere else. Feel your core condense on your exhales. Feel that sense of work. So now the left foot, you're going to turn the heel right and toes left. Make sure you feel equally grounded through both feet. A lot of times when we try to ground this back leg, we tend to push the knee back. See if you can soften that knee. Yielding, groundedness happens better with loose joints. Deep inhales and exhales. All right, then let's come straighten the leg for a moment. Couple of knee bends. And then eventually finding our way into Parsvottanasana. So before you access this arm, which tends to kind of do weird things through our spine, lengthen crown to tail to the back heel. Feel that long line through the body. Make sure your knee is not hyperextended. And once you have that grounding, then lift the arm into space so you can feel the connection of the earth grounding and the sky gazing. Shoulders away from the ears. Feel the work of the hips. Spin your foot, your front foot. Toes go left, heel goes right. Deep breaths. Keep dropping the shoulders instead of creeping up. Keep feeling the long spine. The full deep breath. Shaking's good. It's just giving, your muscles to their fatigue, which can be a good thing. As long as you're able to stay in your alignment, it's a good thing. Go ahead and come on up. If you find when you're holding poses for a while that you start tweaking and going into weird compensation patterns, that's your cue, like come out, okay? Feet are facing forward. Go ahead and relax and melt back down. Find your breath. Inhale, come to a long spine. Put your hands on blocks or the floor. We're gonna find a twist here. So if you need some height, you can put your hand on a block. We're gonna go right first. Left hand in the center. Start to twist. Now when we do this, our hips wanna go with. So with this left hip, lift the femur bone up and back so that you have a sense of stability. Lift the arm, and the arm can hang out on the hip. It doesn't have to lift in the air. Shoulders away from the ears. Exhale and melt back down. Switch sides. Lift the right femur bone up and back, twisting to the left. Deep breaths in, deep breaths away. All right, let's go ahead and find our way back down. Crawl back to the front of your mat, dog pose again. Feel the inner spiral, let the thigh bones rest here. Deep inhales, deep, full exhales. Come forward into a plank. So remember, you can always put your knees onto the ground for a plank. There's no reason why you have to be in, the full effort of the pose, especially if your shoulders are at all uncomfortable. Find your breathing. And then we're going to bring our knees down onto the ground, and we're going to bring our forearms onto the ground. Come into a forearm plank now. So integrating the core just a little bit differently. Shoulders away from the ears. Find the midline. Keep breathing here. Long, steady exhales. Look at the ground instead of forward. Deep breaths in, deep breaths away. And then come down. Turn this into a Sphinx pose. So bring the forearms forward just a little bit. Open the chest, shoulders stretch away from the ears. And then rest for a moment. We're going to bring the right knee high toward the chest and just get used to the compression in the hips. So sink a little bit into that hip joint, stretch through the hip flexors on the other side. Deep breaths here. And then we're going to let that leg go back and change sides. Bring the knee high up toward the chest. And if your knees don't like this, you just go where you go, as there's always ways to back away. See if you can drop the hip joint into the earth. All right, and then we're going to let that stretch back. Come up onto all fours. Have any kind of movement through your shoulders, your pelvis, your spine. That's going to help you find ease. As you're ready, back to dog pose you go. Inhale, lift the left leg up. This time we're going to bring the knee to the outer elbow. So just like we just did on the floor, try to lift the knee as high as it will go. And then bring it back up in the air. Place your foot down onto the ground. Second side, lift that leg. As you're ready, exhale, knee to the elbow. Chest forward, hang in there. Keep breathing. And then bring that leg back. Exhale and put your foot down. Walk your 2 feet forward. Come into Uttanasana, let the spine be restful. Inhale for a halfway lift. And let's come into a melt. Come on up. Rise to the sky. Maybe a back bend if it feels good. And then come back round. So I'm going to give you 2 choices here, depending on the state of affairs with your knees and hips. Remember, balance poses can always have support of a wall or a chair. So the deeper of the 2 is figure 4 pose. Okay, so coming into like a one-legged chair. We did a lot of one-legged chair stuff on Monday, and if that bothered you in any way, then I want you to take tree pose instead, or the standing leg is going to stay straight instead of coming down into a squat. So you choose whether you're in tree pose. And if you're in tree pose, anything you want with the arms, we're working with the rotation of the hip, okay? Your standing leg, depending on if you're in tree pose, the leg is straight, the knee is not bent, not hyperextended, a little soft bend in there. If your foot is on your knee and you're coming into figure 4, sit bones back and wide, stick your stingers out, heart is forward, deepen your breath. You can always do lots of variations. So you can come forward more. Heck, you could come into an arm balance. I'm not teaching arm balances online because it's too complicated, but if you know this pose, you can always come into an arm balance if you want. Otherwise, you can stay where you're at. Okay. All right, and then let's come out when you're ready. Come out of the pose. Deep breath. Inhale, ground. Look, you have these 2 feet on the ground. Let's just enjoy this deep grounding. when things keep flowing and we have to keep moving with what life is giving us, how can your intentions be about helping you ground through that, stay stable? Second side, so perhaps you're doing tree pose. If so, be mindful to not let the hip stick out. Keep the hip in. You can always hold, balance, hold on to something if you need it. The knee is soft. This knee opens up as the ribs stay forward. You can put your arms in any position that feels really good to you. If you're doing figure 4, foot over your knee, come into squat. Same thing, don't let the hip stick out. Keep the femur bones drawing back. So, you really want to stick your stingers out. Sit bones are wide. Breath is deep. Maybe your arms are in chair pose. Maybe your hands are harder out. Maybe you're coming lower. Maybe you're busting out an arm balance. So whatever you're choosing to do, make sure that you're stable and breathing. Full inhale, full exhale. Okay, we're gonna unwind out of there, put 2 feet on the ground, open the chest, come melting forward. Okay, let's come down into child's pose for a moment. You can have your knees close or far. You get to decide how you want to be in this pose. And maybe child's pose is a terrible pose for you and you're choosing to be on your back instead. So just do something that's nourishing, soothing, letting the hips be in passive flexion. Okay, so this might be elusive for some people. I'm just gonna go through a teeny bit of the moving vinyasa for the hips. And if you can't do it, you just go as far as you can go. So look at me for a moment. We're gonna come back just like we did earlier with our foot stretching back. Connect your core to your heel. And then we're gonna bring the knee in, cross it over the other leg, and settle back like cow face legs. And then knee in and stretch the foot back. So there's a fair amount of core work in this to draw the hip into deep flexion and cross it over. So whichever is working for you, if you can't get all the way into that crossover, then perhaps your work is just stretching your heel back and bringing the knee into flexion or your hip into flexion. So whichever variation's working for you, move with your breath. One more time. Okay, and then let's come to all fours. Do whatever you want to do. If there's some movement to be had, take it. And then we'll come to the second side. Left foot stretches back. Inhale or exhale. Where's your breath best suited for you? Okay. So whatever you're choosing to do, whether it's just bringing the knee in and back out again, or whether you're bringing your foot so far in that you can cross thigh over thigh and settle back, be in the breath. One more time. All right, and then come to rest. So before we come into a little bit, we're going to do pigeon pose in just a moment, or reverse pigeon pose to kind of stretch everything we just did a lot of work with. But first, we're going to come into Upavista Konasana. If you want to be on the edge of a blanket, get up on the edge of a blanket underneath your sit bones. And how you know you need a blanket is if you're very rolled back, then you need a blanket. Okay. The other thing that happens is this is hard on everybody's inner thighs and hamstrings. So if you're like this and you can't straighten your legs, grab a blanket and stick one underneath each knee. So you might need 3 blankets, one underneath your sit bone and one underneath each knee. I guess you could be up on the I guess you could be up on a block too. Yeah, that might work. Okay, so find your breath, and then you get to decide. The block's not the most stable thing underneath your sit bones, but whatever you're working with is great. I prefer a blanket. If you're on the back edge of your sit bones, the attachment of your hamstring can hang a little bit. If you're on the block, that's what I just felt. So just make sure the block, if you're sitting on a block, is pushed forward enough where it's not just under your sit bone, but kind of the attachment of your hamstring sit bone area, especially if you've torn that spot before. Very vulnerable. So do not let this stretch hang out right at the attachment of your sit bone. So whatever you're choosing, feel the stretch in the belly of your inner thighs and hamstrings instead of at the inner knee and sit bones. Support can be so nice. If you want to put some stuff underneath your elbows to rest your head in your hands. Deep breaths here. Flowing breath. Most intentions of trying to move with life, breath it is the flow of life. Okay, let's hold the knees, come out of there, Supta Baddha Konasana. So perhaps you're on the edge of a blanket. Perhaps you can get your forearms to your knees, perhaps it's hands. Okay, so whichever. First, let's start with our hands behind us. Draw your knees down, open up, find your breath, and we're just gonna have a little bit of a PNF stretch. So either with your hands or your forearms, press your elbows, press your legs with your arms and lift your legs into your arms. So even pressure, find the work. Are you stronger on one side than the other? Just see what's here. Have a couple of breaths in that effort of meeting the pressure, arms and legs, and then let the arms win and let the legs soften and fall. And then maybe do that one more time in this new placement you just found. So a little bit of pressure, knees against elbows. We're not giving it all of our effort. So don't, you want to have like 25% of your effort in this type of neuromuscular facilitation. All of your effort will overpower the Golgi tendon organs, which is what we're trying to open. So just go a little bit, not a lot. Okay, and then let the arms win. Knees fall. And then sit back up and just notice if you are a little bit more open. Deep breaths. All right, and then let's go ahead and bring the knees in. Give yourself a hug. Round in. Let the hips soften in their flexion. And you get to choose now, after you feel like things kind of settle, to go into reverse pigeon pose or pigeon pose. So it's interesting that the rotation of your femur bone in standing poses is effortful to externally rotate. But then when we come into once we pass 90 degrees of the knee over the hip and we rotate, then this becomes a stretch in the same muscles that when we are not in flexion, but just rotation, suddenly, when we're in a standing pose, this is work in that muscle. But when we come into a 90-degree flexion and rotation, instead of just the rotation, it turns into a stretch of the same muscle that was just working. So even though we're still working with the external rotation, having it be with reverse pigeon pose or pigeon pose when you're going past the 90 degrees, everything starts to open and stretch. So find your way. I didn't say which foot first, so whatever side you got going on, whether you're on your back or on your belly, see what you can do. Support, so if you're in pigeon pose and you need some support underneath the outer hips, take it. Notice if that PNF stretch in the Baddha Konasana helped you. Do your hips feel a little bit more open than they sometimes do in pigeon pose? Extend the spine, no matter what you're doing, extend the spine and deepen the breath. And however you like to switch sides, switch sides. And so if you're on your back, it's easy. Just put your other foot on top. If you're in pigeon pose, you can come back to dog pose, or you can just switch. And you might notice that one side is tighter than the other. Usually we have one hip that's a little less open. So if you need more or less support on this side, just adjust to whatever your needs are. Once you get settled, either on your back or forward facing the floor, feel the spine spread. Feel the breath come in deeply. Surrender what you can within the stability of the posture. Deep inhales, steady exhales. Remember, those long, smooth exhales are so good for our calming of our nervous system. They can be through pursed lips, open lips, nose. Just let the exhale out slow and steady, like pouring a smooth pitcher of water. All right, and then go ahead and come out of the pose. And before Shavasana, let's just do a simple twist. So come onto your back. Maybe just stretch your legs out for a moment and rock your legs internal, external. Just let your hips relax for a moment. And then choices, always choices. Lie here for a minute and figure out, what does my body need before Shavasana? Maybe a twist, maybe a bridge pose on a block. Maybe what do you need? If I wasn't here to tell you what to do, what would you naturally do? So find that. So as you come into any posture that you're doing, are you breathing? If it's a two-sided thing, are you allowing yourself to be in both sides evenly, time-wise, as well as evenly embodiment-wise? Do you let yourself be fully in both sides of a posture? And take your time. As you're ready to find Shavasana, I would recommend, if you can have some support underneath your knees, to take it. You can also, if you have a chair or a couch close by, this might be a really good day to do this kind of Shavasana where your legs are up on something so your hips can really let go. But perhaps you just want to be flat, so follow what your body's asking for. Let your breath come in deeply. Deep inhales, deep exhales. Now as you feel yourself kind of melt into the floor, can you loosen all that binds you? Let yourself be as free as possible. Moving the breath through the body. Melt the places in your face that hold tension. Melt your limbs into the floor or to whatever support they're being held by. Feel the spine spread again. The belly is soft.
begin to invite movement, whatever brings you into awakeness and alertness with ease. The breath is here for you. Just let your body rest. Move any which way you want. And eventually finding your way onto your side. Use your arms to help sit up as you're ready, taking your time. And close your eyes once you get upright. Take your time. Sit up straight and tall. Feel the effects of your practice. And whatever your intentions are, kind of revisit them. Revisit into your breath, the flow of energy. Just place your hands together at your heart. And let's send our energy outward, sharing with another. Namaste. Thank you, everyone.